Well, good morning, guys. Brent Abel here. Gold ball hunting today from Denver, Colorado. We just took the California Zephyr, the train from San Francisco Bay Area on Sunday. Got out here last night, overnight. Interesting trip, a lot of fun, beautiful. You get the Sierras, you get the Wasatch in Utah, and then you get the full Rocky Mountain experience all day yesterday, which was just incredible. But anyway, you may hear a little background chatting going on. That's our good friends Drex and Deb Douglas and but beautiful day here. I tried to originally have the camera looking outside, but it just saw outside and it didn't see me, Jeff. I know that's disappointing.
That's right. It really doesn't, unless I have the halo lighting behind you or some sort of lighting behind you, I just don't feel comfortable chatting with you. I just can't have that. So.
Let's see, me? You want to look at me or you want to look at the Rocky Mountains? I don't think that's much of a decision. So guys, listen, we got a great topic today about doubles and when you're paired unexpectedly with a new partner. Probably mostly that happens in league matches. I don't think it happens too much in tournaments. But we're going to talk about that and then give you some ideas of finding some common ground so you guys can at least get that first set under your belt and kind of get rolling. Before we do that, a quick reminder, Jeff and I are still offering a free 10-minute private coaching call where all we ask is that you bring that one thing in your game right now that's probably holding you back from getting the result you want. And the way to get on that call is to go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in your first name and email address, click the button, and lo and behold, you'll get access to our online calendar scheduler where you get to cherry pick a date and time that works best. Right? It's not about us. We're here to serve. Right? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. And then we'll get on that call and try to help you get the result that you're looking for. So Jeff, let's talk about that situation today where all of a sudden, whether it's a league match or maybe even a practice situation, where you get paired with a brand new partner, someone you've never ever played with before. And let's take it from a situation where, gosh, they've had an opportunity to work some double strategy and court positioning and shot choices with the great Jeff Jacklich. And so they have a method of how to play doubles, but this new partner they're paired with, I wouldn't say they're clueless, but they certainly haven't been, they haven't had the benefit of the Jacklich method. So how do you?
Is there a method? Is there a Jacklich method?
Yeah, there's madness.
Definitely a madness to it for sure.
What do you tell your players, Jeff, when in that situation where they do get partnered with someone where they have no idea how each other thinks about doubles? How do you initially and let's say you've got 5 minutes before you got to go out in the court and that's it. How do you initially find some common ground, or what are some questions that you might ask each other just to see? Okay, I know what to expect.
Right. So first, whoever you've been working with, whether it's me or anybody or Brent or anybody, you're a pro and you've been taking doubles lessons, not just clinics. Clinics are one thing, but then actual doubles lessons where there might be 4 of you on the court and the coach pro is actually on the sideline, not the classic 3 and me, where 3 players and the pro playing. I personally, as a coach, I find that counterproductive to actually getting the players to do what they're supposed to do, because they will make different decisions because I'm actually on the court. They don't want to hit the second ball back to me. They know the other player's weaker. So they're going to make choices that aren't exactly, let's say, journeyman tennis, where you're actually laying the groundwork for a good solid. I particularly don't like it's different. The simple thing, hey Jeff, fourth we need to okay, that's one. If it's actual coaching, I prefer to have the 4 players on the court with me not being the 4th player, so I can get them to actually play the way they play. So that's just one. Two, when you play with somebody who hasn't been coached, say in that methodology or whatever it is, they're not speaking your language, right? And that's kind of the feedback I get when my students go play and they're playing their league match and they got paired with somebody who's not in the mix. It's always, gosh, she didn't speak Jeff, right?
Oh, God Almighty! Right. There's no
Right? Or
Jeff
she
speak
didn't,
going on out here.
right? Or Brent speak, or whoever it is, right? That you're
Yeah.
working with. And so it does take a little bit of, you got to step back and kind of adjust the lens you're looking through for today's match. And one of the biggest things to realize is, and this is a broad statement, is the person you're playing with for the next 2 hours is not all of a sudden going to become this open book of being able to receive coaching.
That's right. That's
It's
exactly
not going
right.
to happen. It's
Right.
not going to happen in the next 2 hours.
Right.
It's just not going to. You might be able to influence a little bit, but if you full on say, I want you to stand here, and it's something that they've never done before, you get a few players you play with will actually say, oh, okay, they're interested in learning and blah, 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 and they might actually do it. But by and large, 99% of the people you're going to play with are ground in, they've dug in like a tick. They play doubles the way they play doubles.
It's the Lyme disease strategy for doubles.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter that they're hugging the alley and you have to cover 75% of the court, because they're going to make sure no one passes them down the line.
Right.
Getting that person to stand out into the court actually makes them less confident, because now they actually feel vulnerable.
Right. Right.
So
right.
when you start to try to move a player around the court into positions they're not confident in, you're actually lowering the whole process. Unless they're game, unless they have this great positive attitude and they know that they freely admit that you're the better doubles player and just tell me what to do, great. Like I said, those players are few and far between. So as that player who kind of has a good grounding in doubles, let's say strategy, geometry, and court positioning, you have to look at that player you're playing with and say, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? And how do I manage to get them involved with their strengths?
Well, so what would be a realistic question where, because I think sometimes as you're sort of chatting through this, I'm thinking to myself, there's times when you might have all the right intentions in terms of, I really want to help this player not feel like they have to play my method or Jeff's method or whatever, but
right.
I want them to feel comfortable. But what's a question, because I could see where someone would go, well, I better not tell them I really do love to cover just the alley. I better not tell them I really do love just to stay back. I better not tell them that all I ever want to do is just lob all day. How do you ask that question in a way where that player goes, good, I get to be totally open and honest with this
right.
new partner, and just say, here's who I am, and it's kind of like, can we figure something out here?
Right. So the conversation has to be, you gotta build a relationship in 10 minutes, right? 5-10 minutes, maybe. If you've never played with this person, maybe you know them or not know them. Are they new on the team? Whatever it might be, right? So let's get beyond the one primary question. What side do you like to play? Great. Thanks, because I really love the backhand side. Okay, we're good, right? And then everybody,
or we're not good because we both like the backhand side. So now what do we do?
Right. Yeah. So now what do we do? So we got to get beyond that idea, that question, because that is kind of the primary question, and then we're on to chatting about last night's match or the match before and blah blah blah. So how do you do that? Like, how do I get this person to actually open up and relate to me a little bit, right? So you might go down a series of just kind of, I don't know what you call them, like soft questions to get a conversation started. So like, how do you like to be encouraged? I like, do you like signals or do you like to, I like to talk the strategy rather than signals. What do you like to do? Well, I kind of like signals. Okay, maybe we can have a little combination of both and work that out. How does that work for both of you, right? Where, who's going to be in charge, who isn't, and maybe it's not a who's in charge. It's just how are you guys going to communicate? So go ahead and broach that question. How do you like to be encouraged? Do you like it every point, or do you like there to be like no talking? Right. And so you've got to you've got to know that rather than being deep into the first set and feeling like your partner is pissed at you. It just happens to be they don't like to talk.
Yeah, right. They're not really pissed, but well, they are a little bit. Well, look. So how do you figure out? How do you figure out who's going to return on which side? If you're not going to go with that standard question, which side do you like to return on? At some point, don't you have to figure out, well, given the two of us,
right
here, what's kind of our best setup here for return and serve?
Right. Well, if primarily, I mean, most everybody loves to play the deuce side because of their forehand, even though everybody's trying to serve to their backhand, right, on the deuce side.
Okay.
I personally, I love living on the ad side. That's my favorite because I love hitting the backhand cross court. I'm fine on the forehand. Obviously, we played. My game.
So let's say you and I are on the same league team, which would be kind of weird because we're at slightly different levels. But anyway, and age groups. But we get thrown together and we don't know each other. And
right.
And so with me being and this, I think this happens sometimes where you get a stronger player and a player that's not up to that same skill level. Does the player who's not up to the same skill level as their partner, do they kind of defer? They say, well, let's Mr. Stronger
right.
player, let's put you on the side where you're the best, and I'll just adapt from there.
Right. Normally, that's the kind of camp I usually live in. Is if there's definitely a stronger player and the weaker player, let the stronger player play their strongest suit. What's their strongest hand. And you may have to switch after the first set if the other player can't seem to put a return in from especially if the stronger player wants to play the deuce side. Now there's arguments both ways. The stronger player, hopefully on the return to serve, is going to be able to bang out that first point, and hopefully somewhere along the way, the ad side player is going to be able to scrape up a few returns, and we're going to make some magic happen, right? For me, it's a little bit more. Because I play the ad side, as the stronger player, I'm working my tail off to get a point in my favor off that deuce side, because I want that positive side where all of a sudden we're going in there. It's they're serving at 30-40 or they're serving at 15-30, and I've got the return on my racket. I like that possibility.
Yeah, but if I'm the weaker player, man, and I'm not, if I'm not returning serve much on that deuce side, then you're always having to play even better, just to
Correct.
make sure that we get it back to even.
Right. So, like I said, there's methods, philosophies on both sides.
I think what you're saying is there's no perfect way of handling this.
There is no perfect way, and you've got to find, again, through conversation and your partner. And like I said, you may have to switch after the first set, which is perfectly legal.
Sure.
Perfectly legal. You can change your service order, and you can change which side of the court you're going to return on. Right. Perfectly legal to do that mid-match, at the change of a set.
Right.
If the ship is going down and it's going down fast, mix it up, change, do something. And it could be that the server is just, hitting his marks pretty well, and your returner just can't quite, get a stick on the ball. And then even to the point of like having trouble even putting a ball like lob off the return, and sometimes that's hard to do.
All right.
So then the realities actually sink in at that point.
Yeah. So we sort of solved the question if there's a stronger and a weaker player about who's going to return on each side. What if it's a 3-5 match? And both players have got the unbelievably accurate NTRP rating of 3.5. So in theory, they're so close together. They're not a 3.6, they're not a 3.4. They're both
Right.
3.5. So we know these two guys are like, well, how do we decide who's going to play which side in terms of the return?
I think, if you actually have to try and convince somebody to acquiesce, I think it's going to be a long day.
Okay.
I mean,
But what is
that's the
wrong with
reality.
me asking you, if we're both 3.5 guys, right? And the captain say, hey, Brent and Jeff, you guys never played together before. Never even seen each other before. It's the first, first match
Right.
of the season. And so what's the question I ask you about which side are we going to do? I mean, don't I simply say to you, hey, where do you feel the most comfortable? And we've got lockage on you there. Hold on. We're back to lockage. Okay. So did you hear my question?
Right. And again, I'm yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Like, what's wrong with saying, where do you feel the most comfortable? Right. Was that the question?
Yeah. I mean, to me, I don't know how to ask it
Yeah.
other than just saying, hey, what's your best side or where do you feel the best? And because someone has to be the first one to say, well, I like this side the best.
Yeah. Right. And I didn't, at the very beginning, as we started talking, it's not about, is that the wrong question? It is one of the right questions. Don't let it be the only question. That's my point.
I got it.
In that.
Good.
Is that, yeah. So that's what I'm getting at there, is that you gotta, like I said, you gotta try and build a relationship, and all these answers, right? How do you do this? Are built on communication, right? And opening up that pathway of communication where we both get to be, the word I'm looking for. We both get to be graciously honest with each other in the process,
right?
So we can actually come up with what we think is going to work best.
Well, look, here's something I would.
So that's, again, I wish I had a really hard and fast, like, this is how you do it. I mean, you can do more of the hard and fast as the players get better. When you start moving into 5-0 plus ball,
right?
Yeah, we're getting really specific about who does what because of actual data. We know.
Well, again, let's go back to the 2-3-5 players, and they both say, "Oh, you like the outside? Okay, yeah, that's my favorite side too." So the next qualifying question to me might be, assuming that we're both right-handed, is, all right, we both like the ad side. How's your overhead? How do you feel? You feel really solid with your overhead? And one of the players might say, God dang it, I'm glad you asked that question. That's the best part of my game. And I would say right then and there, you're playing the ad side. Assuming that most of the lobs are going to end up somewhere in the middle. So,
right. Yeah, great answer. Right.
And I go, well, my offer's pretty good, but if you're that confident, let's just go with it. Let's just go with it. And I think one thing players do is they try to qualify the other person's answer, going, "Oh, really? So your overhead's pretty good, huh? Okay." And they as if they're trying to make the guy prove it, like he's in a court of law.
Right.
No, just go with it. Just go with the stuff.
With it, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest part of this is if you're, and it doesn't matter whether you're the stronger player or the weaker player, you got to know you're walking into uncharted waters. It's an unknown. You don't know each other, and maybe you've never seen each other play, and you're just being introduced 10 minutes before you walk on the court, and you've got to have the right mindset. If you're already apprehensive about meeting this person or whatever, it's going to be, it could be a long afternoon or a long morning, So the idea is that can you get your mind right and be open to the process of figuring it out as you go along.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing you said was the absolute best, which is if you've had some coaching in doubles, do not try to impress your partner with what you know. Do not try to coach them through stuff that that you know and they might not know.
Right.
And look, at the end of the day, it's just tennis, and at best, it may just be a learning opportunity for you to find out, wow, I'm actually better at this thing. I got put in this position where I didn't actually know I could return serve from the deuce court as well as I actually did today. Well, that's pretty cool.
Right.
So I think a lot of players
And,
are concerned.
yeah.
They're stressed out about, I've got a new partner, don't want to disappoint. The next level up is I want to
Right.
impress, and
Right.
both those things can kind of get in the way from freeing up and playing well.
Right. And the second one is usually a faster route down the drain than the first one.
The desire to impress.
Yes, that usually puts you wanting to do more with the ball than your skill set is probably capable of.
Right. But then you've got
So
that great
that's
story. You've already built up the excuse, well, I had to try to do more today because my partner, I didn't feel, knew the Jacklich method, so I had to do more to show them. And I was trying to,
right.
whatever.
So, you know, and you know, and the collective terminology is also really helpful too. A lot of hey, what do you think we should do?
Yeah.
You know, hey, I'm having a little trouble reading this guy's serve, but you look like you're doing good. What, you got anything like,
Yeah.
Are you seeing something I'm not seeing? You gotta be willing to put yourself out there and be open to getting that communication, that thread started where you can be honest with each other. And that, you know, obviously great doubles teams take, you know, a long time, years to really become blended, but there's something about a doubles team when they click. I think primarily that click is the ability to be perfectly straight and open, honest with each other without feeling I'm being personally attacked when my partner suggests something.
Well,
it is.
Well,
right?
and I would also say that there's something that clicks is when things are not going well.
Right.
And you don't start pointing the finger. You don't start blaming. You don't start making excuses. You actually try to find a way to help this other. Or if you're playing like crap for the last 10 minutes, that you're wide open.
Right.
Absolutely. Just
I think, you know, great example is, you know, Erica Smith and I down at the Mission Hills, you know, at the Wilson this last year. I think it was round of 16 or quarters, I think. We ended up splitting sets, right? In fact, you guys were there watching evening match, the semi in first it was at dusk and then under the lights. And I remember after we split, you know, changing sides, Eric and I are sitting down and we're kind of flat, you know, and she just looks at me and goes, "We're not really having any fun right now, are we?" I looked at her and went, "No, we're not, are we? So we need to focus on having some fun here." And so we were just in total agreement. It had nothing to do, the strategies, you know, the thought process and the strategies we had were perfectly fine. It was just, we were kind of just over focused, over serious, if you will. We weren't actually like, hey, let's have a little fun. And so as we started to laugh and lighten up and you were there and, you know, we just like, okay, let's just, you know, and then I think we won the third set, like 6-2 or something like that. I mean, we went through it pretty fast. So that communication, that ability to say something that isn't necessarily about strategy, about match, but really just getting us to be together on the court. You know, right. The last thing you need to be is an accountant. Don't be an accountant for your partner. Hey, Bob, you know, you missed the last 3 returns. Okay. Nobody on the planet knows better than Bob that he missed the last 3 returns. That doesn't help.
Right.
You know,
right.
But a good suggestion might be, hey, Bob, you know, I'm having trouble reading this guy's serve too. Bring yourself into Bob's problem.
Yeah.
And let Bob know that you're still supporting him and say, but you know what do you say let's start putting up some lobs off the return. And let Bob know that you're not going to throw him under the bus. You know, right. I think those types of things. The other thing too is sometimes, you know, just a light-hearted, non-tennis specific comment when things are starting to get really serious can be great. You know, playing with, you know, Mark Nicholson that, you know, we played dubs out of college for a couple of years and really had some great successes. And sometimes in hyper serious matches, I would, we'd be walking back, and I could tell he was getting, amped up a little bit, and I might just start to walk to the net and then pull up and actually walk back and pull him up and say, "Hey, Marco, do you see that blonde in the third row?" And just get him to totally make a left turn away from tennis for a moment, and he'd kind of look at me and laugh and go, "I know, she's hot." I was like, "Great, okay, so, what do you like, man? Throw me your best pitch. What are you confident in right now?" So it's just about that moment of getting, and then all of a sudden he steps up because now he's relaxed. He had a little chuckle. Boom. Now he can focus on what he's doing and that. So that was something that he and I did just kind of naturally with each other. When things got really hyper tense, we were very open to one of us recognizing that moment and saying, "Okay, let's drop the, we're redlining right now, on the
Right.
RPMs.
Yeah.
We need to get off of that for a second here and really, get relaxed for a second and just do that." So anyway, that's
Good. Well, listen, guys, hope you liked today's episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. We're on YouTube, iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher for any other audio formats that you might prefer. Jeff, we got the free offer. We got an offer for a free 10-minute private coaching call. 3 of us, 3-way call, not recorded, but you got to bring that one thing in your game right now that is holding you back from getting the result you want to get. Go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in a first name and email address, and you will get immediate access to our online calendar scheduler where you can pick a date and time that works best for you. Jeffrey?
Yes, sir.
What do we want the fine folks to do right now?
We'd love you to like us, share us, please subscribe, let us know what you think down below.
Beautiful. Guys, get out there today, and I'm on the 20th floor of an apartment building looking straight out at the Rocky Mountains. So I am going to get out there today, try to help someone else have a spectacular day. Jeff will do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.